Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the OT podcast. Alongside me, Owen Reed, who hosted our last show. We go every other one for us, too. We have a big week of football. Once again, 16 games. No bye weeks this early in the season. It's week 2 NFL action. Last week, I went 11-5. Our friend Brian, who's probably watching this, hi, Brian. You went 11-5 as well. For anybody else as well watching, whatever your score was, please comment down below. Also, Owen, on the other hand, a little bit of a rough week, not too terrible though, at 10-6. And the AI that we let into the arena for the first time actually won the entire week, going only 13-3. Woo! What a week for the AI, as it was a massive week of football, a lot of upsets, a lot of crazy week one action. Literally maybe game of the week right out of the gates with the Bills and Ravens game. Not just because I'm a Bills fan. That was a heck of a ball game, back and forth the whole way. Kept me from being a little bit better, but it's fine. My beloved Bills won. Anyway, guys, we're going to get right into things. It's Thursday night football. I'm closing at work, so I don't get to watch this game, sadly, because this is going to be a barn burner. Oof. But it is the Washington Commanders on the road in Lambeau to take on Jordan Love and the revamped Packers defense, who just got Micah Parsons. He went nuts last week in the win against the Lions. And if last week wasn't something that you take into accountability because it's only week 1, I think you should, because it's like that was a heck of a game from the Packers. 13 points against them for the Lions, who were one of the best offenses in the league last year. And I understand they lose Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn, but some of that blame's got to fall on something else, and I think maybe Micah Parsons has something to do with that. Mm-hmm. As Jaden Daniels looks to get a big road win, an NFC in-conference game, week 1, was a win for both of these teams. Which one falls to 1-1, and who stays undefeated in week 2?
You know, I thought the Packers had a really impressive game last week against the Lions. You know, I did predict them to win, but in the fashion that they did win in was very impressive. The Lions pretty much did nothing offensively, which could say it could be to the loss of the coordinator, no Ben Johnson, could say it was week 1, or it could say it was Micah Parsons and the Packers defense. So it really does scare me for opposing teams going up against this defense moving forward. And as for the Commanders, did get the win over the Giants. They didn't do too much, I feel like, offensively. Deebo Samuel was, though, heavily involved in the offense week 1. Defense played pretty well against the Russell Wilson-led Giants there. But Thursday Night Football, short week. Packers home for the second straight week. Commanders going on the road for the first time this season. I'm going to go with the Green Bay Packers here yet again. I feel like they should be the favorites in this game. Just, again, with how they played last week against a team that many people still believe are a really good team in the NFC, and the Detroit Lions, and they literally blew the doors off of them week 1, so really exceeded my expectations for them. So I'm going to go with the hot hand here with the Green Bay Packers as they continue their march, and they're 2-0.
Yeah, I cannot disagree this time around. I disagreed last week, and it burned me really, really badly. And you look at this Packers team, and they were already a pretty good team. They were one of the teams that kept it decently close with the Eagles, except for the tush-push in the playoff game in the wild card last year. And this is a team that made the divisional round just 2 short seasons ago with a pretty bad defense, with like guys on that defensive line that weren't really that great. Now you bring in a player like Micah Parsons to add to that front 7 and really give you something. And sure, they don't have that great of a secondary, but you don't need one when you got Micah Parsons sacking him within 3 seconds anyway. Nobody's going to get open anyway. I'm going to go with the Packers in this game. I think it's an even one pretty much throughout this whole thing. And I do think that this is going to be a lot better than what the game was last week for the Lions. I think that the Commanders do put up a little bit more of a fight. A 21-17 win for the Green Bay Packers. And if you want Owen's predictions for the scores, at least on his YouTube, he has the predictions across the entire slate of week 2, so make sure you click that video. It's a short video, 2-3 minutes long, not too long. Just give him a little bit of a chance here with some of his predictions. He can be a little bit crazy sometimes, but he has a lot of really good takes, so let's just give him a chance, guys. It's a fun week of football, though, and now we get into the Sunday slate. We're going to have a ton of games on Sunday, 13 this week on Sunday afternoon. Let's start it out in the NFC East. We just talked about the Commanders. 2 more teams from the NFC East, and the Dallas Cowboys and the New York Giants going at it at AT&T Stadium, Jerry World. Who do you think wins this game? Do you think Russell Wilson and the Giants can finally get some offense going, or does Dallas bounce back after a struggling week 1?
I'm going to go with the Dallas Cowboys here in week 2. Seeing the Giants play, especially in offense, scared me a lot. Only, 6 points they scored on offense last week? That's a really rough showing, and it's really not inspiring.
I think it was 9, actually.
Was it 9 points?
I think they scored 9.
But yeah, in that game, it just scares me to see that the Giants don't seem too committed to Russell Wilson, especially after 1 week of football. That certainly does scare me.
It means something to practice, too. It's got to be. There's no way it's just the game if it's 1 week,
Right. And then for the Cowboys side of things, I feel like they played really well in week 1. Obviously, they did have some hiccups, a little bit of rust, especially from CeeDee Lamb. But the Cowboys could very well have walked out of week 1 with a win. At least I feel like.
I think if it wasn't for the rain delay, I'm 95% sure they would have at least had a lot better of a chance.
And Dak Prescott, he was absolutely phenomenal last week as well. Like, he rarely made a mistake in that game, I felt. And this, I think, is a team that really wants to go out and put on a good showing and get a win because of how well they played last week. I think they felt like they deserved to potentially even win that game. So I'm going to go with the Dallas Cowboys to win this one over the Giants. Giants could make some noise on defense, but I'm a little worried about their offense here in this one, so give me the Cowboys.
Yeah, this is a big bounce-back week for the Dallas Cowboys to me. I like the New York Giants defense, but that offense has so much to work through, especially on the offensive line. They weren't favorable last week. And even the Dallas Cowboys team without Micah Parsons is still going to find a way to get to the quarterback in this game, I think. And I do think Russell Wilson should get at least another week of a chance and stuff like that because it was week 1 and Washington just made the NFC Championship. So it's not like you were playing like a terrible team or anything. You're playing a team that just made it almost all the way last year. So I do think that you cut them a little bit of slack for that game. But for this game, I don't see them doing much better on offense. 1 more point, if it was 9 at least. 24-10, I have the Dallas Cowboys winning this game. As I forgot to mention beforehand, I do think that AI is going to be a big part of the season, especially after last week being 13-3. AI's predictions for these first 2 games, the Green Bay Packers and then the Dallas Cowboys. So that is a huge thing for them. Obviously, they were so good last week. They predicted the Chargers over the Chiefs upset, and they currently lead in our points, technically, if you think about everything else.
It's a nice catch. I forgot about the AI for a second.
Yeah, right? Either way, though, I do think that this is going to be a pretty interesting game, to say the least. It always is when it's Cowboys-Giants. They've had such a storied history against each other, and I think this is going to be a very interesting chapter, to say the least, with 2 teams that aren't exactly the greatest points in their team's franchises' histories, but I do think it's going to be a fun one. 24-10, I think Dallas runs away with this one in the end. As we move into the next game, it is the Steelers and the Seahawks in a pretty interesting game, to say the least. I know last week we saw that the Steelers' offense went nuts, and they had a really good game, 34 points. Shout out to Chris Boswell with a 60-yard field goal to win the game at the end. And then Jalen Ramsey has probably got a warrant out for his arrest for murdering Garrett Wilson at that last 4th down play. But this is a Seahawks team that was pretty scrappy last week. They couldn't do much on offense, but that defense kept them alive for most of the game. And I understand that the 49ers had a few injuries and whatnot, but they did keep it close for 4 quarters. Do you think Sam Darnold and the Seahawks can walk out of this game with a win at Acrisure Stadium?
You know, this is definitely one of the tougher games for me to predict this week, just because the Steelers were the absolute opposite of what I thought they were going to be last week. I thought they were going to play really well on defense. I thought they were going to struggle on offense a little bit, but it was the exact opposite. It was the defense that was struggling, and it was the offense that seemed to be clicking, and it was Aaron Rodgers who had 4 touchdown passes a week ago. Again, could be another one of those week 1 voodoo situations. I don't know. It's a whole wrench into how I was feeling about the Steelers. I don't know how to feel about them right now. I really don't. And same goes with the Seattle Seahawks. I mean, I feel like they played well defensively, but again, there's a lot of injuries in the 49ers offense right now.
It is week 1, too. And
yeah,
the
it is
offense
week
normally
1.
Struggles out of the gate for almost everybody.
And
except for the Ravens and Bills, apparently.
Yeah, right. But Seattle's offense, too, didn't put up too many points in that game. Definitely some growing pains there. I feel like that is evident. But I think I'm going to have to lean towards the home team here and go with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Just seeing how they performed last week against the Jets team that I thought was going to have a pretty decent defense, which definitely can still be, but they definitely struggled out of the gate. It's just kind of building off of what you kind of started on. The Steelers tend to start off the season on a high note, and it's still definitely early in the season, so I feel like the offense can still get some things going here. this week. Defense does need to figure some things out, but I feel like they can definitely do it against a team that's still trying to figure out who they are offensively in Seattle.
Yeah, I agree 110%. And I pulled out a nice little stat for all of you at home that like statistics. The Pittsburgh Steelers have not had a season where they weren't 2-1 or better in 17 seasons.
Ooh, wow.
17 straight seasons, the Pittsburgh Steelers have been at least 2-1 or 3-0 through these first 3 weeks. This would have to be their one loss, and I just don't see it for Seattle to actually go in and get this win. If it's in Seattle at Lumen Field, I think there's a little bit better of a chance, but I do think that the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to walk out with a very, very close game, 24-20. As I forgot to also mention Brian's pick for the last game. He picked the Dallas Cowboys. Big shocker, I know. But this week, he has his upset of the week in the Seattle Seahawks taking down the Pittsburgh Steelers. He thinks Sam Darnold's going to get the job done, and I can totally see it. I think this is one of those games. It's going to be a coin flip. It's going to come down to one or two different plays. I think it's going to be a game really oriented on turnovers. And for a game like this that I think is turnover-based, you got to trust a quarterback. Do you trust Sam Darnold or Aaron Rodgers? I understand it's 40-whatever-year-old Aaron Rodgers, and he's not his exact same self, but he literally has had the lowest amount of interceptions for a career that's gone this long out of anybody in NFL history. I think if there's a team that I'd have to rely on to win this game, it would be Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers, so go ahead and give me them. Also, ChatGPT agrees with us with the Pittsburgh Steelers, so Brian, you are alone with your upset of the week. Good luck, sir. Moving in to the next game, it is the Titans and the Rams. Titans didn't play that inspiring in the second half, but they looked pretty promising in the first half against the Denver Broncos last week. It was a pretty interesting game, to say the least. A lot of drops, though, unfortunately, for Cam Ward. They had a few different drops from their receivers, especially Calvin Ridley. He dropped 2 or 3 passes last week. He had one wide open down the seam that went right off his hands, and if he shimmies out the safety, that's a touchdown, like 60 yards. But unfortunately for Cam Ward and the Titans against the Broncos, they couldn't get it done. And so because of that, I think that this is going to be an interesting game. They're playing the Rams defense, who played exceptional last week with a win against the Houston Texans. That's you and Brian correctly. No, just you, I think. And ChatGPT maybe.
For which game? I'm sorry.
For the Rams game.
The Rams game. Yes, I did have the Rams winning.
Yeah, so you guys predicted that one right. Do you think the Rams do it again, or do you think Cam Ward goes out and gets his first win against the team that really put his franchise in the hole that they're in now?
You know, is it possible to have 2 upsets of the week?
You have the Titans.
I'm going to go with the Tennessee Titans
no
here
way,
in this
man.
one. There's 2 things that really stand out to me and in this game. I know the Titans didn't play the greatest of games, obviously, week 1. It is week 1. Cam Ward's just starting out, so give him some time here. But 2 things stand out to me, and that is, 1, how the Rams offense performed last week. Sure, they played against the Texans defense. Really good defense in Houston. But another thing I saw the other day, which I feel like could be a huge factor in this game, the Rams lost 2 offensive linemen last week, and I believe it was both their left and right guards last week, and I don't believe either of them is going to be playing this week. And if that's the case with Stafford's back issue, if he takes a big hit, he might be out of that game. So hopefully that isn't going to be the case, but if they can't protect Matthew Stafford, it might be a long day for the Rams, and that can open up some possibilities for Cam Ward to actually get something going, be in the game the whole way. I know they were in the game for pretty much the whole game last week against the Denver Broncos, but this one being at home, I feel like you might have a little bit of magic here. Number 1 pick magic, and I think Cam Ward and the Tennessee Titans are going to get it done against the LA Rams.
Yeah, I don't see the vision you have right now. I'm sorry. I think the Rams are going to walk all over them in this game. I have a 24-13 win. I think that this Rams defense is up there with some of the best, and they proved it last week against Stroud and the Texans. And I understand that the Texans didn't really have a good offensive line, but to be honest with you, neither do the Titans. They really only have, like, a guard, and maybe their center's okay right now, but, like, their guard is, like, their best guy, Peter Skoronski, and then they have some decent tackles and stuff, but I don't see anybody stopping Jared Verse's tackle against him right now, especially after last week. I think that they're going to walk all over him. I think it's going to be a tough game for Cam Ward once again, and if if this game comes down to anybody, I think it's going to come down to Kyron Williams. I think it's going to be one of those games where the Rams are going to try to work off play action. And it worked last week very well for the Denver Broncos, especially in that second half. They worked off play action way more in the first than they did in the first half. And Cortland Sutton caught a touchdown pass because of it, wide open on the touchdown as well. So I really think it's going to be an interesting game. I think it's going to come down to this Rams team just being a little bit more experienced and being that better team. And another big deal, I understand you're on the road in Tennessee, but you got Sean McVay versus Brian Callahan, and if it comes down to a game like that, I don't care who the Rams have playing at offensive line. They're going to find a way, and I think that they'll get it done, especially on the road. Understandably so, though, for you. You are riding alone in this one, as Brian and ChatGPT both have picked the LA Rams to win this game. As we move in to the Buffalo Bills on the road to play the New Jersey Jets at MetLife Stadium. Big game for the Bills after watching Justin Fields light the world on fire last week in a loss. Leave it to the Jets to score 32 and still lose. I'm sorry to you Jets fans out there if you even exist. Anyway, though, moving into this game, the Bills pull off the miracle comeback in the last few minutes of that game against the Baltimore Ravens. You were there, of course. Big atmosphere. A lot of fans leaving, and a lot of fans didn't believe in them. Do you believe in them to get the win this week? I shouldn't even ask because we already know it's coming. But the Bills and the Jets, who do you got winning?
I mean, is it possible to have 3 upsets of the week?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Give me the Buffalo Bills to win this game. Absolute shocker. Homer pick. But I got the Bills winning this game. If the Jets... Well, I want to say this first. The Jets are not going to put up 40 points on our defense. That's not going to be happening this week. And if it is, that will be the craziest thing I've seen in a long time, even crazier than last week's or this past Sunday night's game. And Aaron Rodgers also putting up 34 points on their defense, considering the Bills just put up 41 points on the Ravens' defense. So a lot of points may be scored if their offense can stay consistent. And it is early in the season. I trust the Bills to get it done here in this one. I will say, though, Justin Fields did have a pretty good game last week against a tough Steelers defense. And the Bills defense, is probably worse than the Steelers defense is.
For sure.
Especially right now. So could be another offensive shootout potentially. But if it's going to be between Justin Fields or Josh Allen, I'm taking Josh Allen 10 out of 10 times.
Same here, man. I love this Bills team, and obviously I picked them to lose last week against Baltimore. And if it wasn't for Derrick Henry fumbling, which is very uncharacteristic, they very much so would have lost that game.
Oh, yeah.
They did not come out right. They did not come out playing well. And a lot of the time I've noticed over the course of these last few years, when I think that there's going to be a game that's really high scoring or a thing that I think is going to go back and forth the whole way through, it's normally the exact freaking opposite. And so what I think in this game is there's going to be at least a little bit of a middle ground. I think that we're going to win this game 27-17. I like that mark right there for the Bills over the Jets. I think Justin Fields comes back down to earth a little bit. He's playing a lot worse of a secondary this week for sure. I understand that the Steelers might have a better overall defense, but I do think that the Buffalo Bills secondary is still at least a little bit better than the Pittsburgh Steelers. Really, they didn't have anybody after Joey Porter Jr. went down and Justin Fields was just cooking. I will say this, though. Justin Fields made some throws that I have not seen Justin Fields ever make. And, he threw a ball right between 2 defenders on the Steelers defense, 2 linebackers, literally right here and here up to their freaking receiver, and fits that throw right through them both, and I just couldn't believe that throw. But to say the least, I think this is going to be a pretty fun game. I'm excited to see what Justin Fields does, even though it's going to make me a little bit nervous seeing what he did last week. Hopefully he doesn't pull off the upset of the week. But we'll see what happens with that. However, we are not all picking the New York Jets to lose. Brian picked the Jets to beat the Bills. I mean it, bro. As AI, ChatGPT is going to also take the Buffalo Bills. Brian, once again, you're all alone. And this is not Brian's upset of the week. It was the Seahawks he picked for the upset of the week. Although I'd argue this is a little bit worse of a game.
Yeah, Brian, me and you are going to have a very long discussion after this podcast is over. If you are watching this, which I'm guessing you may be, just letting you know now we're going to have a little chat. But
yeah, it's
along.
Been an interesting, man.
We're just going to pretend we didn't hear that, all right? We're just going to move on.
Yeah, we're moving on to his team, the Miami Dolphins, taking on the New England Patriots. It's in South Beach. It's going to be in Miami. But the Patriots are coming off a loss to the Raiders, and the Dolphins are coming off an absolute shellacking to Indiana Jones, as they say. Daniel Jones did everything he could in that Week 1 game, and I understand the Dolphins aren't exactly a great team, but I'm interested to see what will happen with Daniel Jones. We'll get to them in a little bit later. But the Dolphins are at home against New England. Tua's never lost to the New England Patriots. Do you think that streak continues, or do the Patriots pull off the win on the road in Hard Rock Stadium?
You know, this is another one of those games that I was really torn on up until about 2 minutes ago.
Yeah, I was going to say.
And Brian picked the Jets. So you can pencil me right on in for the New England Patriots to win this game. The Dolphins looked absolutely atrocious last week against the Colts. And I'm not just saying that. That actually, it is true. You can watch the highlights. And there's
so bad.
And all those highlights on the side of Indianapolis, giving up 33 to Indiana Jones, like you said.
Yeah.
And their offense not being able to do much of anything, mainly because of the offensive line and the play of Tua Tagovailoa. He did not play great whatsoever. Obviously, of course, Week 1, rust. I'm going to keep saying that throughout this podcast. It is a thing. But there are cases where it wasn't actually rust and the players are actually just bad. So
Yeah.
we could see if that turns out to be true. But Patriots did let me down a little bit because I did pick them to beat the Raiders last week. That didn't end up happening.
Yeah, me too.
But give me the Patriots to win this one over the Dolphins. If the Dolphins play anything like they did last week, it'll be more than likely. I would say it'd probably still be a lower scoring game than obviously. I don't think Drake May and the Patriots can be able to put up 33 in the Dolphins. Not gonna say it's impossible, but I'm not sure if I see that quite high scoring of a game happening. But if the Dolphins play anything like they did last week, Patriots got this one.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very close, to say the least. And the Miami Dolphins could be subject to that rust that you were just mentioning. But at the same time, I think New England's going to get this one done. I really think New England's a very good team. I think it's going to be a pretty interesting game, to say the least. And I do think that if the Dolphins win one of these games in this series against them this season, I think that it would be this one, just because the Patriots offense did not inspire me to pick them this week. It's just more so that Miami defense was the problem. And in a game like this, Miami's offense was the problem last week. And they're going up against New England's defense, which was the strong suit of the Patriots last week. And then you're also looking at the Patriots' weakness, which was their offense, going against the Dolphins, whose defense was absolutely atrocious. It's just a perfect matchup to me for the New England Patriots. I understand Tua's never lost to them, but, I mean, we've seen it happen with every single quarterback. Mahomes has never lost to whoever, and then Mahomes loses that game. It happens at some point. Everybody's going to lose, and I think this is the day that Tua finally loses to the New England Patriots. Give me the Patriots 17-14. As big shocker, Brian's taking Miami.
Oh,
and
wow.
more importantly, AI is also going to ride with the Miami Dolphins. So
Ooh.
for the first time, we are split 2-2 on any of these games. We are split right down the middle, and me and you, you are both the ones that picked them. As we move into our next game, it is the Jacksonville Jaguars on the road in Cincinnati, Paycor Stadium, to take on the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals almost choked last week to the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
And once again, not a very inspiring Week 1 for the Cincinnati Bengals, but they normally bounce back. Week 2, Week 5 range, they can get back into that cycle. Do you see the Jaguars pulling off a pretty insane upset, or do you think Cincinnati and Joe Burrow with Jamar Chase get that one done at home?
This game scares me for one reason only, and that is me picking the Bengals to win this game. Because they did play pretty rough last week. They got off to a good start, started off the game, going right down the field, scoring a touchdown on Chase Brown. But other than that, it wasn't really too inspiring. I mean, I guess you could say the defense looked good, but it's against Joe Flacco and the Cleveland Browns. So I don't know if there's too much to take away from that.
Yeah.
But Jaguars, they did get a nice win against the Carolina Panthers. But I know we're going to talk about the Panthers later, but that was a very uninspiring game there that we've seen. It almost reminded me of the past 2 seasons. If you take away the last 6 games the Panthers had to end the season last year, just again a very uninspiring performance, which is one of the main reasons why I'm going to side with the Bengals here, because I don't want to take anything away from the Jaguars winning last week, but the Panthers didn't show up last week. They did not, and the Jaguars, rightfully so, took advantage of it. But Jaguars really didn't flash off the board to me too much either. Like, if the Panthers weren't going to show up, like, those great teams would smack that team, and the game would be over by halftime. But it was still somewhat of a game. It wasn't until, like, near the end of the third, beginning of the fourth, like, all right, now Jacksonville's got this. But I'm going to go with the Bengals here. To me, it just kind of feels like a safer pick, I guess, because you don't really know what you're going to get out of either of these teams, I feel like, right now. Especially early on. Both teams still trying to find their identity here a little bit. So give me the safe pick. Give me the Bengals at home over the Jaguars as they start their season 2-0.
Interesting. Cincinnati normally struggles out of the gate. They're both 1-0 teams, so whichever one of these teams wins will be 2-0. And give me my upset of the week. I have the Jacksonville Jaguars going on the road and winning this one.
Go.
Hear me out. I think the only reason that Panthers game was even a game last week was because of that rain delay. They were putting belt to ass before that rain delay even started. And then after the rain delay ended, they were starting to struggle a little bit. And then they found it back in the fourth quarter again. And I think that really just shows this kind of team. I think that Liam Cohen's doing everything right now. And for a team like the Jaguars, who struggled so much, to win that Week 1 game, go in here and play Cincinnati, this is what I like to call a momentum game for the Jacksonville Jaguars. If they come out of this game with a win, watch out for the Jacksonville Jaguars this season. I'm telling you right now, this is one of those games where you're playing a team that everyone expects you to lose to. It's a team that should have made the playoffs last year to everybody. They didn't. And you're the one that's not being talked about right now. You're the underdog. You're the sleeper pick for almost everywhere. And because of that, I think if the Jaguars come out of this game with a win, like I have them winning, I think that they're going to be able to maybe go on a little bit of a run here, especially in a pretty weak AFC South outside of the Texans. You're pretty much at least decently looking at a pretty good outlook for the rest of the season after this game. However, I think that Burrow and the Bengals are going to keep this one close. I think it's going to be a good game all the way down the stretch, but give me the Bengals to lose 27-20. I think it's going to be a little bit of a higher scoring football game. Obviously, two very much so not great defenses. But you have Travis Hunter and Brian Thomas on that offense going against a pretty terrible Bengals defense. And then on top of that, Travis Etienne looked great last week. Against that leaky run defense, I wouldn't be surprised if he has another solid game. And because of that, I think that I have to lean with the Jacksonville Jaguars in this game. It's just my gut telling me that this is going to happen. In Jacksonville, I'm hoping for you, just for the simple fact that I'd like to see a little bit of an underdog story this season. And right now, it's pretty much looking like nothing's been too crazy to me so far. I think that it'll be interesting to see what happens in this game, but go ahead and give me the Jacksonville Jaguars. Because I'm not the only one who thinks the Jaguars win this game. The other thing that's on my side is the AI picks the Jacksonville Jaguars too against the Cincinnati Bengals. That is also the upset of the week for the AI, but I picked mine before I even put it into the prompt, so I guess we're just stuck with us both having the same upset.
I like that upset though. I like that one.
Yeah,
I was just saying I was scared of picking the Bengals.
I can't believe when you said that there were a lot of upsets this week, because we talked about this beforehand. He said that there was going to be a lot of upsets this week potentially. I was not expecting Titans-Rams.
Honestly, I was thinking of upset of the week, and I was looking through my picks and everything, and I stumbled, like, as we're doing the podcast, I stumbled upon this. I'm like, I think Tennessee might have a chance.
If I
Call
may,
me crazy, they might have a chance.
If I may spoil something a little bit here, I think that the Colts have a better chance of beating the Broncos than the Rams have of losing to the Titans.
That's fair. But, I mean, it's the NFL. You never know, man.
That's true.
If I go out on a limb here and let's say the Titans end up doing
it. If they do it, I will shake your hand as soon as the pod starts next week.
Oh, wow, a handshake.
Yeah, okay. Okay, bro. Moving along to the Saints and 49ers game. This could be a pretty interesting game, to say the least. The Saints are at home, just like they were last week. They lost in a pretty interesting game against the Cardinals. Almost down to the wire there. Spencer Rattler threw an absolute missile to Juwan Johnson, who couldn't hold on to it. 49ers bruised and battered heading into this weekend. Maybe Mac Jones, McCorkle Jones, might be taking the snaps in this game. We saw Jones last week light up the world. Let's see if we can do it again. I do think that this is going to be a pretty interesting one, especially with George Kittle now on IR. 1 week into the season and they're already losing people.
My poor fantasy team.
Yeah, literally. So it's just like you're already starting to see it happen. Well, I guess we'll see what happens in this game. 20-10 is what I have, and the lowest scoring, not lowest scoring, but the most interesting game of the week. I'm interested to see what you have for this game. I don't want to go too much into it because I know it's not going to be that good of a game. That's why I'll kick it over to you. Saints 49ers, who wins this one?
Well, I guess I kind of alluded to it earlier when we were talking about Rams-Titans again, when I said, can we have 2 upsets in 1 week? And this is where I have the New Orleans Saints upsetting the San Francisco 49ers.
Which one's your official upset of the week, then?
Oh, want me to make that decision? Well, I feel like I kind of have to go with
the Saints.
I mean, it's the safer upset. But, I mean, if it's an upset, it's really got to be a good upset. So I'm going to stick with the Titans-Rams as my upset of the week. You can pencil that in.
I gotcha.
But I watch the Saints win and the Titans still lose. But anyways, biggest reason why I'm picking Saints over Niners here, the amount of injuries the Niners have right now is not good. Christian McCaffrey's going to be playing, but is he going to be healthy for the whole game? Who knows? We'll see. But seeing a bag of milk at quarterback and Mac Jones is not too inspiring. And Spencer Rattler, to me, last week when he was playing against the Cardinals, I feel like he showed that he deserves to, he deserves to play it out a little bit. Like he looked a lot more promising than I was expecting him to.
13 points against the Cardinals defense.
Well, yeah, I mean 13 points, it doesn't look great on paper, but I mean he was slinging that ball around. He really
10
was.
until the final 5 minutes too.
Yeah, really. But I don't know. It's just another one of those feelings to me. This is my gut feeling here. I feel like I'm not going to be the only person here to pick the Saints to beat the Niners in this one. Alvin Kamara might have a nice day here. We'll see. I feel like if the Saints are going to have a chance here, Alvin Kamara is definitely going to have a good game here. But we'll see what happens in this one. Wouldn't be surprised if the 49ers still won. I feel like they can still play pretty decent.
Especially running the ball. I mean, they still have McCaffrey for at least right now. Maybe 5 weeks from now, maybe not.
If McCaffrey gets going in this game, it's going to be a long game for New Orleans. But if it turns out not to be the case, look out for New Orleans here in week 2.
Yeah, I think so. And you thought you were the only one that picked that you wouldn't be the only one that picked the Saints. You are the only one that picked the Saints.
Oh.
Both AI and Brian both pick the 49ers to win as well as me. So, moving along to the next game, this is the Ravens and the Browns. It's an interesting one to say the least, especially after the Browns played pretty well. It's a reunion of sorts for Joe Flacco. Do you think they have what it takes to pull off an amazing upset and make the Ravens 0-2 for the first time since 2009?
Absolutely not. It is not happening.
Yeah, no.
This is actually going to be my lock of the week here. Give me the Ravens over the Browns. It's got to be everyone's lock of the week, I feel like, right now. Considering everyone thought last week for the Ravens-Bills game, majority of the people that picked the Ravens to win, like, oh, they're coming for revenge. The Ravens have the best roster on paper. They're going to come in hungry, and they're going to beat up on this Bills team. And they did for those first 3 quarters, and they ended up choking it away. And now going up against the Browns team. A Browns team who played a Week 1 Bengals team. I will say that. They played a Week 1 Bengals team. And now this Ravens team is going to be hungrier than ever. You thought they were going to be hungry last week? Just wait till this week when they probably hang up close to 50 points. You feel like it's going to happen. But again, you'll see my scores in my score prediction video coming out pretty soon. But yeah, the Ravens are going to absolutely dismantle the Browns here. They're going to come out hungry, ferocious. They are not going to take their foot off the gas in this one. It's going to be a very, very, very long game for the Cleveland Browns as the Ravens are going to smack the Cleveland Browns.
I don't think that it's going to be a 50 or 45 even. I do think that this is also going to be a Ravens W, though. This is also my lock of the week as well. I hate that we both did the exact same thing. But, I mean, it just makes so much sense. The Browns are not that great. They're not going to be that great this year. They had their highest moment probably all season in Week 1, almost beating the Bengals. Hang that banner up there in Cleveland for you. But for the Baltimore Ravens, I think it's going to be 31-6 halfway through the third quarter, right at the end, maybe going right into the fourth, and then they'll pull the starters. I think this is going to be a fourth quarter where we don't even see Lamar and Henry and them. The reason I don't have it being 40 or 50 points is they run the ball way too much for it to ever get that high because the clock and stuff like that, they're going to run 35, 40 seconds each time. I just don't think that they're going to have enough time to get that many points, especially considering I think in the fourth quarter they're just going to bench the starters because they're probably going to be well on their way to victory at that point. So Go ahead and give me the Ravens 31-13 in this game. A little bit of a garbage time points for the Cleveland Browns, but I think that this is the lock of the week, and this is the easiest win that you can predict all season long, probably. Sorry, Browns fans, but man, those Ravens are going to come out hungry, especially after the way they played last week. I mean, like, I'd be sick, man. I would be so sick. Moving into our final 1 o'clock game, the Ben Johnson reunion, and it's in week 2.
Woo!
Not Browns, I was looking at the thing right above them. The Bears and the Lions in Detroit at Ford Field. The Lions got embarrassed at Lambeau last week, losing to the rival Packers 27-13. The Bears lost last night to the Minnesota Vikings, even though they got a pick 6. Just 10 points out of the new-look Ben Johnson offense. It looks like this divorce, I should say, hasn't worked for either of these guys so far. Just 10 points and 13 for the other team. Really not that great. Do you think that the Lions lose to Ben Johnson, or do we think that the Lions are going to get a big win in week 2?
I don't know if it's going to be a big win, but I do see a win happening here for the Detroit Lions. I'm really hoping, because I like the Lions. A lot of people do like the Lions. I'm really hoping it was just a week 1 jitters thing here for Detroit, and this isn't going to be a theme that we're going to see throughout the season, is not being able to compete with the tougher teams in the league. But the Bears are certainly not one of the tougher teams in the league, and I would say that the Bears got embarrassed last night too.
Embarrassed?
Oh, okay, had to throw that in there.
Yes, I did.
But that's one thing Caleb Williams couldn't do last night, was throw it in there. Every time he threw a pass, it seemed to be an overthrow or an underthrow. It just
not to Troy Aikman and Joe Buck. Right on the money, according to them.
No, okay.
Several times.
But I was really disappointed in the play of Caleb Williams last night, and I feel like the Bears' defense did what they could.
For sure.
For most of that game, they kind of gave up a little bit of points near the end, but you can only hold on for so long. Right. So I'm a little bit disappointed in the Bears. It is a whole new offensive system, so give them a little bit of time, see if some things change. But then again, Lions have a whole new offensive scheme, whole new defensive scheme with new coordinators. So it's an interesting game, but I got to go with the Lions here. They were just too good last season, and they have too much talent to lose this game. So give me the Lions here to take care of business here against a division rival here in week 2.
Yeah, I think this is going to be an interesting game as well. I think that these two teams are both pretty interesting this season, especially after last week. I just have so many more questions than answers for both of these teams. Hopefully, at least one of these teams can answer some of them this week, but I have that being the Lions as well. 24-17. I think it's going to be a pretty interesting game, back and forth for most of it, but I do think that Detroit pulls it off in the end. I think if we're talking about this kind of a game, 2 weeks into his tenure with the Chicago Bears, I think it's going to have to be an absolute masterclass from Ben Johnson in order to win this game. And I honestly think that a game like this, with the emotions that they have, might actually hinder the Bears more than it will help the Bears, in the sense of, like, I think Ben Johnson might try to do something to, like, show that he's like the reason why the Lions offense was so successful, and it might backfire on him, like maybe like a trick play that turns into a fumble or a pick, or maybe something bad happens, or like they go for something on 4th down that they shouldn't, Mm-hmm. But I do think that this is going to be a pretty interesting game, pretty back and forth, but I do go with the Detroit Lions in this one. Forgot to mention it once again for the last game, the Baltimore Ravens also, Brian and the AI picked the Ravens, obviously. And we're all in agreement again with the Detroit Lions in this one as well. Pretty interesting week so far. Now we move into the 4 o'clock window on Sunday afternoon, starting off with the Indianapolis Colts and the Denver Broncos. Indiana Jones, baby. Daniel Jones goes nuts last week against a pretty lackluster secondary in Miami, but he did play well. Do you think that he has enough magic in the tank to get him another win, especially at home in week 2? It's going to be a pretty interesting game. What do you have happening? Do the Colts pull it off?
They might, but I'm going to go with the Denver Broncos in this game. Again, I didn't feel too great about the Dolphins' defense going into this season, and I think they kind of proved that to me with Daniel Jones putting up 33 points on their secondary. So obviously Daniel Jones had a great game. He played really well. The whole offense did entirely, but now you're playing against the big boy defenses of the league. The Denver Broncos, a lot of people think they might have the best defense in the league. So This is going to be a really big test for Daniel Jones here, and if last week wasn't a fluke, we will see. I think we'll find out this week, but Bo Nix did not have the greatest of games last week either, which kind of scares me a little bit in this game. There is it's early in the season, so there's time to fix some things, but I definitely am hoping to see a better game here out of Bo Nix here this week. And if we don't, I'm going to be a little concerned about Denver going further into the season here. But I'm going to go with the safe pick for now. Give me the Denver Broncos due to that defense. And I think they will handle business against Indiana Jones and advance to 2-0 early in the season.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think that this team right now for the Colts, I think they're going to have a pretty good game on offense. In the sense that I think that they'll actually make it down the field a little bit. But I think they're going to stall out. The Broncos have been one of those teams that bends but doesn't break for a long time, and I think this game is going to be that magnified, and we're going to see it on a national stage, really, in this kind of a setting. For Denver, though, I think they win this game 17-12. A disgusting score.
Oh,
I know it's a disgusting
gross.
score, but I think this is one of those games, man. I don't trust the Broncos offense with Bo Nix playing the way he has to score that many points. I think 17's fair. And then for the other side, I think the Colts are going to drive down a little bit, but they're not going to be able to finish drives. And I think when they have to throw the ball in the fourth quarter, they're not going to be able to do anything, and they're going to fall to the Denver Broncos 17-12, and probably the most disgusting score I've ever predicted.
I hate that I can see it happening, too.
Yeah,
I hate that.
It's an interesting game. It'll be fun to watch, I guess, for the defensive players and stuff, but I think that this is going to be one of the worst games of the week. 'Cause speaking of one of the worst games of the week, the Cardinals and the Panthers are next. Before we get to that, though, the Denver Broncos are both AI and Brian's pick for the last game as well. So another clean sweep from all of us. Do we have it all happening again this week? The Panthers and the Cardinals. Who do you got in this one?
I feel like we should be seeing another sweep here. I'm going to go with the Arizona Cardinals. And the Panthers did not look good on offense. They did not look good on defense. Just another all-around tough game for the Carolina Panthers. And I don't even know if it's the fact that Thomas knows what I'm talking about, our general manager Madden franchise, where I had the beautiful luxury of having the Carolina Panthers as my team to rebuild. And let's just say it didn't go too great, but I really hope it's not hindering my decision-making here at all. But from what I saw from the Panthers was absolutely nothing last week. And the Cardinals, they did play the New Orleans Saints, which, in my opinion, is one of the worst teams in football right now. Yeah. Cardinals didn't blow them out or anything, though. They let them hang around all the way to the very end. So this could be a closer game, but I'm going to go with the home team, the Arizona Cardinals, a team that has more of an identity than the Panthers do right now, because I don't know what's going on right now in Carolina. I'm going to go with the safe pick. Give me the Cardinals that have at least something going for them right now in this Week 2 victory for Arizona.
I think the Cardinals are going to be the flukiest 2-0 team after the first two games. I think they're going to win this game as well. 24-20 is my final score. I think it's going to be a pretty close game, though. I think that the Panthers have at least some upside on offense, especially in Week 2. Yeah. They're playing a pretty bad defense in the Cardinals, and you're going to be able to get the run game going, which is pretty much the biggest deal for them. I do think, though, that this Cardinals team, especially being at home, they're going to find a way to get the job done, especially with this unit that they have. I mean, Trey McBride did get hurt last week, but he did come back and play the rest of the game, so I don't see that being an issue for this game. Kyler Murray's also been dealing with some issues, but I think he'll be fine. And if they play, I think that this is going to be a pretty easy win, to say the least, for the Arizona Cardinals. I think it's going to be a lot like the Panthers game, not Panthers, but the Saints game last week, where they gave up that late score to make it look closer than it was. I think it's going to be the same way. I think it's just this time it's going to be a touchdown. They go for an onside kick and don't get it, and then the Panthers are going to lose 24-20. I wouldn't be surprised in the least, as I think that we are all in agreement once again, and yes, we are. The ChatGPT and Brian both pick the Arizona Cardinals to win this game. As we move into the game that could have us splitting hairs a little bit here again. Game of the week. Is this CBS or Fox?
This is a Fox game. America's game of the week.
America's game of the week. It is the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles. How can you not like Patrick Mahomes?
Oh, Patrick Mahomes.
Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown.
Yeah, I don't know there, Jim.
It's going to be one of these insane games to me. The Chiefs and Eagles in a rematch of Super Bowl 59. Who do we think wins this game? Do the Chiefs get revenge, or does Philadelphia put belt to ass once again?
Such a tough game to predict.
This
Really
is literally the coin flip of the week for me. I'm going to start this as a series. There's going to be at least one game every week where I say coin flip of the week where I could go either fucking way. And this is that game for me. I'll say it right now. The only other game even close is the Texans and Bucks, which we'll get to later.
Yeah, it's another good game. But I said last year that for the life of me, I cannot pick against Kansas City.
Oh, no.
And seeing the Chiefs 0-2 to start a season just doesn't seem right at all. Doesn't seem humanly possible, does it?
But
I want to go with the Philadelphia Eagles to
there
win
it
this
is.
football game. This game, like you said, coin flip of the week can go either way. I really do believe that. One issue I have is Xavier Worthy going to play this game?
Yeah, that's
Is he
the
going to
problem
play?
for
That's a
me.
big question right now. And how involved the Eagles are going to get their skill players on offense this week, because we barely saw anything of A.J. Brown last week. We saw a whole lot of Saquon Barkley. We saw a whole lot of Jalen Hurts' legs. We saw a whole lot of Dallas Goedert. We didn't even see too much of Devontae Smith either, so we'll see if they can get more into the passing game here this week. We'll see. We'll see if they even need it, because they didn't really need it too much against the Dallas Cowboys, even though that was a little bit of a scary game there.
Yeah.
But it's really tough. I mean, I feel like I'm making a mistake right now going against the Kansas City Chiefs. Having them lost 2 games in a row, I don't even know when the last time it's even happened.
The
I really don't.
0-2
Yeah, the Chiefs
was
0-2.
2012.
Yeah, it's been
The year they
an
got
awfully
the
long
first
time.
overall pick.
What about just a season where they lost 2 straight games? Just in general. I
don't
can't
know.
think of a time.
Yeah.
So I feel like this is a really bold prediction. I mean, a lot of people are going to be going to Philadelphia in this game, I feel like, especially after how the Chiefs looked last week. But Mahomes is still Mahomes. He's going to make plays. Just a matter of if he's going to make enough plays to win him this game. And seeing how even the Eagles manhandled them in the Super Bowl back in February, I feel like leans a lot of people towards Philadelphia here too. It's leaning me towards to pick Philadelphia as well. I'm one of those people. But give me the Eagles here to win this one. It pains me to say it, but let's go Eagles. Let's get the win.
I have to agree. I really do. I have to pick the Eagles in this game. If you look at last week alone, just based off of last week, what was the biggest issue for the Chiefs? Controlling Justin Herbert's legs. What did Jalen Hurts do in week 1? 2 rushing touchdowns against Dallas. On top of that, they played Thursday night, so they've had a little over a week and a half now to prepare for this game against Kansas City, whereas Kansas City got one less day, which I understand, but they're also going to be jet-lagged coming back from Brazil. Another important thing to factor into this game is the health of Xavier Worthy. Who are the Chiefs going to throw the damn ball to? Travis Kelce, Zach Bond, and their rookie Jahad Campbell are the 2 best players on defense last week in terms of tackles and pass defenses. Out of everybody on that entire team last week that played, at least, because Jalen Carter didn't get the chance, Hawk Tuna on somebody, but literally out of the people that did get a chance to play last week, Zach Bond and Jahad Campbell were the 2 best defenders on that Eagles defense, and those 2 guys are going to be the guys responsible for covering Travis Kelce. The only other guy that you could even see making a play would be like maybe Marquise Brown.
Juju Smith-Schuster?
Yeah, they'd have to have like an MVS moment where he had it against the Eagles last time and he dropped it on Monday night. I think that that's their only chance in this game. I still think that that this Kansas City Chiefs team is one of those teams that's going to keep it close. They got Patrick Mahomes. They have a really good defense still. I think it's going to be back and forth most of the way, but 21-20 give me the Eagles. A.J. Brown did nothing last week. Nothing, and they still won against the Dallas Cowboys.
It's crazy.
This week, if he does even anything, the Eagles are going to have that much better of a chance, and I think he's going to. I don't think he's going to have 2 bad weeks, just like I don't think the Chiefs should have 2 bad weeks. But here we are, alas, the Patriots dynasty, and now maybe the Chiefs are starting to dwindle out a little bit here, as I have the Kansas City Chiefs going 0-2 in this game, as we are once again not the same.
Not the same.
Me and you picked the Eagles. The AI and Brian picked the Chiefs to win this football game.
You know, that Dolphins game earlier was really easy to pick now. Really, really easy.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. We have 3 more games left for you guys. The final game before we get to Monday, Sunday Night Football. Carrie Underwood, who gets paid $1.5 million to sing the national anthem.
For 3 minutes?
Yeah, for like 3 minutes. Not national anthem, but the Sunday Night Football anthem. It is J.J. McCarthy and the Minnesota Vikings against Michael Penix Jr. and the Atlanta Falcons on Sunday Night Football. This is a game that I'm excited for, but I don't expect to be that great of a game in terms of offense. I just expect this to be exciting for the storyline. The two shockers of their drafts, Michael Penix and J.J. McCarthy, the shocker of the draft for each of those teams. And all the quarterbacks taken, those were the two most shocking ones. And to see that happen, to see that kind of trajectory that they're on, it's going to be very interesting. McCarthy came out with Week 1, with a Week 1 win against the Chicago Bears, his hometown team. And then the Falcons lost in a nail-biter against the Baker Mayfield-led Bucs in a pretty interesting game as well. So division rivalry games in Week 1, they split. Which way do you lean in this game? Falcons or Vikings?
Another tough game. I feel like it could go either way.
Insane, man.
The big takeaway for me, which is what's leaning me towards one of these teams has a way better defense than the other, and that's the Minnesota Vikings. So give me the Vikings here to win this football game. I feel like we saw a lot of promise from both Penix and McCarthy last week. I feel like it took a little while to get McCarthy going, especially Monday night against the Bears, but by the end of the game, he was looking pretty efficient in the passing game and the running game, too. He's got legs, too. So it's going to be a very...
It's like Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, and Josh Allen. But I think it's going to be a very interesting game. Like you said, I don't think there's going to be too much scoring in this one.
Yeah.
I think it might be similar to like a repeat of the Monday night game we just saw last night.
Yeah,
so
could very well be.
But I'm going to go with the Vikings here. Again, they're the home team as well, so it's another advantage for Minnesota. But if the Falcons come out and win this game, look out for Michael Penix, because that means he's cooking. But we'll see what happens in that one. But give me the Vikings to take care of business.
This is another interesting game to me, and once again, my coin flip of the week was the Chiefs and Eagles game, but this very well could have been if it wasn't for the Chiefs-Eagles, and it would have been to me for the simple fact that Texans-Bucks game, I picked the Texans as the coin flip of the week last week. I wouldn't want to do the same team twice in a row. I think this is going to be very interesting. These two teams are very iffy to me, where I don't expect either to make the playoffs necessarily, but if these two teams, if I could see either one of them make it, it would be the Falcons right now, just for the fact that they play in a worse division. But it's just, this game has given me the vibes of a young up-and-coming team like the Chargers and then the young up-and-coming Dolphins, Mm-hmm. And for the Dolphins, they have a left-handed quarterback, but it's not Michael Penix, it's Tua, obviously. But I think that those kinds of things, Tua's in the system quarterback range, and then Justin Herbert and Michael Penix I view in the opposite range, where they just need to start doing their own thing and being able to do those things. And which one of those teams do I think is better? Which one of those players do I think is better? I'd say Justin Herbert. And I think Michael Penix is a better quarterback than J.J. McCarthy, at least as of right now, today.
Yeah.
And for that reason alone, I'm going to pick the Falcons to upset the Minnesota
go.
Vikings. The second upset of the week, if you will. This is not my upset of the week, though. My upset of the week is the Cincinnati Bengals and the Jaguars game, the Jaguars to win. I think this is going to be pretty interesting. It's going to be back and forth. I would not be surprised if I'm wrong after J.J. McCarthy played the way he did in the second half. But I think if they play like they did in the first half, the Falcons are going to already have this game over. If he plays anything like he played in the first half of that Bears game, the Falcons' offense is going to pounce on that, and they're going to play very well, and they're going to win this one. I have them winning 23-17, a pretty interesting game, pretty close, back and forth all the way through. But go ahead and give me Michael Penix and the Falcons to go to 1-1 and split with the Vikings, both 1-1 now. However, for the first time this week, I am the only one to pick the Atlanta Falcons. Ooh. I stand alone for the first time, as the Minnesota Vikings are also ChatGPT's and Brian's pick. So good luck to you guys, and good luck to myself. Hopefully I win. Just kidding. Hopefully one of us wins. Obviously, somebody has to, but We'll see what happens. As the Falcons and Vikings tie after a young Waku misses last second. As we move. What?
I was going to say, if that happens, we got to have a tie of the week.
tie of the week is crazy. Texans, Buccaneers, the first of the two Monday Night Football games. In my opinion, the better one, because we'll get to the Chargers Raiders after this. But The Texans are at home, NRG Stadium, under the lights. Deshaun Watson's new heir in C.J. Stroud taking on Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What a doozy this is going to be. I think it's going to be fun. However, for the offensive side of things, we might not see much of it in this game either, really. I feel like these first couple weeks are always so defensive, and I feel so funny saying that because the one game I fully paid full attention to was the Bills and Ravens game, which was 41-40. Yeah. But I think that it's really a defensive league for the first couple weeks, and then we start to see the offense kind of break out. But who do you have winning this barn burner on Monday night? Texans or Bucks? Do you have the Texans falling to 0-2, or do you have these teams both at 1-1?
Oh, that's a tough game.
I tell you, open your mouth and stop, and you're like,
Give me the Houston Texans
there you go.
to win over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Texans have one of the best defenses in the entire league. They showed it last week against the LA Rams. You combine that with the shaky Baker Mayfield, and he was pretty shaky last week against the Falcons.
Bakey.
The two great throws Mayfield made in that game was both to Emeka Egbuka for those two touchdowns that really separated and made the difference in this game. Unfortunate for him, it wasn't Mike Evans.
Yeah,
yeah, that's kind of the big difference I'm seeing right now. And the Buccaneers don't have the greatest defenses either. And maybe this is the opportunity for Houston to actually get some offense going to start this season. Because I mentioned last week how I felt like their offense wasn't going to be able to do much because of the Rams' defensive line. Feel like Stroud's going to have some more time to throw the football here in this game. I think he's going to have some more time to get some touchdowns, get some more points on the board. I'd love to see some of that from Houston. Well, more so Tampa Bay because, Bills fan. But this is going to be a good game. Could be more of a defensive game, but I think this is the Texans' game to lose. They got to go out there and win it, though, first. So give me the Texans over Tampa Bay.
I kind of feel funny saying the Texans are going to win this game after I just said the Vikings and Falcons game. I have the Falcons winning, even though the Vikings have the better defense. And it's pretty much the same case in this one. These teams are pretty even to me. It's just more so about which team has the better defense, and I have to go with Houston.
There you go.
I think Houston wins this game. I can't see a world where the Texans are 0-2, and yes, I can't see a world where the Chiefs are 0-2 either, but they're playing the Eagles, and then these guys are playing the Bucs. It's a little bit different than the Chiefs situation. Also, Derek Stingley's status is going to be really important to this game after he got injured in the last game. I think that's going to be a pretty interesting storyline to kind of follow. But given that there's going to be at least one extra day for them after this because of Monday night or whatever, like one extra game before they have to play, I think he's probably going to be good to go. And if he's good to go in this game, I can't see the Texans losing. I think that Houston's going to get the job done 20-17 on Monday night. And a very good game back and forth as I expect it to be as we move into the final game of Week 2. Can't believe we're already to Week 2, almost through Week 2. Raiders and Chargers at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, Nevada. Are we going to take a gamble and say the Raiders are 2-0 after this week? Or do the Chargers win this game? Fun fact, I looked at the standings earlier today. The Chargers are number 1 in the division over the Broncos. Raiders are number 2 over the Broncos.
Mm-hmm.
It's all due to point differential.
Right.
It all comes down to these two teams for who's first in the division after this week. It's either going to be the Raiders or the Chargers. Who do you think's first?
Who's going to win the division in Week 2? Let's find out.
Yeah, right.
It's going to be Jim Harbaugh and the LA Chargers. I think this is going to be the popular pick here for this game. Chargers looked very impressive against Kansas City. Justin Herbert looked really good against the Kansas City defense. And, Geno Smith did look good too last week, but again, it was against the Patriots defense without Jabril Peppers and a lot of other good players. Yeah, Christian Gonzalez, again, being another one of those guys. But I think if the Raiders have a chance to win this game, it's going to be leaning on Ashton Genty in this one. Mm-hmm. If they can get him going, they can get the play action going. This could be one of those more higher scoring games. But you also have to look at which team has the better defense, and that is the Chargers as of right now, at least in my opinion. Chargers, they very much impressed me against Kansas City. I just got to go with the Chargers here. I think it's a safer pick. They've been building this offense longer than the Raiders have because the Raiders, it's a whole new offense. So it's kind of who do you trust more here, and I'm going to trust Jim Harbaugh and the LA Chargers.
There's three things that I always think about when it comes to a game like this in divisions, and that is head coach, quarterback, and defense, especially being week 2. The Chargers have the better defense, the Chargers have the better quarterback, and the Chargers have the better head coach.
So give me the Raiders.
So give me give me the Chargers to win, man. I can't see a world where the Chargers lose after the high they must be off of after winning that game last week. I think they're going to gamble their lives away and win this one in Las Vegas. I really think it's going to be a good game. I do think that the Raiders keep it close. It's going to be a defensive one as well, obviously, like I've said about a lot of games this week. But I think that the Chargers walk out of there with a win 21-14. As before we go, I have to mention both Monday night games. I wanted to do it simultaneously because they're going to be going on at the same time.
They're not, actually.
ChatGPT picks Houston, and then the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are Brian's pick for that game. And then we all are agreeant on the LA Chargers, making the lock of the week for the AI, Detroit. The upset of the week for the AI, Jacksonville. The lock of the week for Arizona is Brian's. And then the upset of the week is the Seahawks, same division. And then for mine, my lock of the week is the Baltimore Ravens over the Browns, just like yours. And then my upset of the week is going to be the Jacksonville Jaguars over the Cincinnati Bengals, same as the AI's. Whereas yours is going to be the Titans over the LA Rams.
That's what you call an upset right there.
We'll see what happens. Another insane week of football ahead of us, folks. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Once again, please make sure you watch Owen's other prediction video for his scores of each of the games, as we already know who he thinks is going to win. But what are the scores going to be? Make sure you click that video below. 3 minutes around is the length of that one. Just make sure that you take a minute to watch that one. It'll be greatly appreciated. Thank you guys so much for tuning in once again. My name's Thomas, and alongside me, Owen. Owen, take us away for your outro.
All right, if you guys enjoyed the video, thumbs up would be greatly appreciated. If you guys enjoy what we do here over on the channel, subscribe would be oh so amazing, and we appreciate it so much. But, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your days. And as I say, life forms out.